welcome to Tech Explorer. I hope you are doing well. So today in this video we are going to learn about the functions. What is a function, how it is created, the syntax, the components and various types of functions. And also you will be learning to create a function in Python. But before that, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe so that you can get more tutorial videos in Python and you can take your journey from the basic to the advanced level. So let's start. Now let's see what we are going to learn today in this tutorial video. So we are going to see what is a function in Python and how to create a function, how to define a function, and we are going to see with various examples, and then how to call a function and what are arguments, and we are going to see that in detail, and how to pass them in functions. What are the arbitrary arguments, what are key arguments, and what are arbitrary key arguments, and the scope and lifetime of variables, and the various types of functions in Python. And then we are going to see the return and the pass statements. Now let's see what is a function in Python. So a function is a group of related statements that performs a specific task for you. So it is a block of code which only runs when it is called, and you can pass the data to it, which are known as parameters, into the function. So a function can return data as well, which is known as the result. And functions, they help to break a program into smaller and modular chunks. And as a program grows larger and larger, functions make it more organized and manageable. And furthermore, it avoids the repetition and makes the code reusable. Now let's see how will you create a function in Python. So in Python, a function is defined using the def keyword. And Python gives you many built-in functions. For example, print. Print is a function which is inbuilt and you can print various statements in your program. But you can also create your own functions, and these functions are called user-defined functions. So let's see the syntax of a function. So you use the def keyword, and after that you give the function name, and within parentheses you pass the parameters. So these are simply the data you want to pass to your function. And inside the body of the function you have your statements which you want to execute, and then the function will have a return statement and is going to return the result of its computation. So let's see how you can define a function in Python. So here are some simple rules which you can use to define a function in Python. So function blocks, they begin with the keyword def, which is followed by the function name and the parentheses. And any input parameters or arguments should be placed within these parentheses. You can also define the parameters inside these parentheses. The first statement of a function can be an optional statement, the document string of the function or the doc string. And the code block within every function, it starts with a colon and it is indented. So the statement return expression, it exits a function, optionally passing back an expression to the caller. A return statement with no arguments is same as return none. Now let's once again see the rules to define a function in short. So a keyword def, it marks the start of the function header. That is followed by a function name which is uniquely identifying your function. So function naming, it follows the same rules of writing identifiers in Python. If you want to pass certain values to your function, use parameters or arguments. So parameters or arguments through which we pass values to a function, they might be optional. So if they are required, just pass them within the parentheses in the function header. So a colon, it will mark the end of the function header. So you have def keyword followed by the function name and followed by a parenthesis wherein you are having your parameters, and if they are optional. So if you don't want, no need to specify them. And after the parenthesis you have a colon that is marking the end of the function header. So optional documentation strings. So after your function header finishes, you have an optional documentation string which is also known as the doc string that will describe your what your function does, and one or more valid Python statements that will make up your function body. So after your optional documentation string or the doc string, you are going to specify the statements or the Python statements which you want to get executed inside your function. And statements, they must have the same indentation level, and that is usually 4 spaces as per the standard. And then we are having an optional return statement which returns a value from the function. Now let's understand the function by using an example. So you mark the beginning of your function by using the keyword def followed by the name of the function. So here in this example it is greet, and then you are passing the parameter to this function name, which is specified inside the parenthesis, and then followed by a colon. So this is the complete function header. So after the complete function header, you are having an optional doc string which is going to describe what your function is going to do. So this function greets to the person which is passed in as the parameter name. Now you are going to have one Python statement which you want to get executed inside the function body. So here you are having print hello name and then good morning and a warm welcome. So it is going to print the value of the name parameter which you have passed inside the parenthesis. Now let's see how to call a function. So once we have defined a function, we can call it from another function or a program or even the Python prompt. So to call a function, we simply type the function name with appropriate parameters. So here is an example of the function definition. So here you're using def greet and the name parameter. Then the body, this is a doc string. This function greets to the person passed in as the parameter name. And this is the print statement which you want to get executed. So hello, name, good morning. So now when you're calling the function, you're using the function name, that is greet, and passing the value of the parameter, that is Paul. So this is going to call your function. And you're going to get hello, Paul, good morning. Now let's see what are arguments in function. So arguments, they are specified after the function name inside the parenthesis, just as I have told you earlier. And information can be passed into the functions as arguments. So you can add as many arguments as you want, just separate them with a comma. And arguments are often shortened to args in Python documentation. So parameters or arguments. The terms parameter and argument can be used for the same thing, that is information that is passed into the function. And from a function's perspective, a parameter is the variable that is listed inside the parenthesis in the function definition. And an argument is the value that is sent to the function when it is called. So is it clear the difference between the two? Both are same, but they're from a function's perspective, they have two different meanings. So now let's see a bit more about the arguments, the number of arguments. So a function must be called with the correct number of arguments as specified in the definition. So when you are defining the function and specifying your parameters within the parenthesis, you have to call the function with the exact number of arguments which you have passed during its definition. So for example, if your function is expecting 3 arguments, so you have to call the function with 3 arguments, not more and not less. Otherwise, it is going to give you an error. So for example, let's see here, it's def my function and it is expecting 2 arguments or 2 parameters a and b, and within the function body we are calculating the value of c, which is the sum of a and b, and then finally we are printing the value of c. So when we are calling this my function, we have to pass exactly the same number of arguments which we have specified in its definition. So we are passing 2 values, one for a and one for b, and the output you're going to get is 3 because it is going to sum the 2 values and then print it. Now let's see the arbitrary arguments. Star args. So if you don't know how many arguments that will be passed into your function, just add a star before the parameter name inside the function definition. And this way the function will receive a tuple of arguments and can access the items accordingly. So arbitrary arguments, they are often shortened to star args in Python documentations. So this is an example you're using the keyword def, then my function, and here you are using the age parameter, but you don't know how many values are going to be passed. So you have made this age parameter as arbitrary argument. So you have just placed a star before age. And then you're calling the function and passing 3 values to it. Now, when you're doing this, your values are going to be passed to the function in the form of a tuple. So within the print statement, you're printing the youngest person is age, the value of age at the first position, years old. That is, as it is a tuple is a sequence, its indexing starts from 0. So at the 0th position, you have value 30. At the first position, you have value 20. And at the second position, you have value 40. So when it's going to print the statement, you are going to get the output as the youngest person is 20 years old. Now let's see what are the keyword arguments. So arguments can also be passed with the key equal to value syntax. So this way the order of the arguments, it doesn't matter. Now the phrase keyword arguments are often shortened to KWRs in Python documentation. Now let's see with an example. So here you are having function my function and you are passing three values, that is age 3, age 2, age 1 as parameter, and then you are printing the statement that is the youngest person is the value of age 3 years old. Now when you're calling the function, you are passing the values in the form of key equal to value syntax. That is, you are passing the value of age 1 as 30, age 2 equal to 40, age 3 equal to 10. So this is having one advantage, that is, you don't have to take care about the order of the arguments. So the output you're going to get, the youngest person is 10 years old. That is, the value of age 3 is 10. Now let's see what are the arbitrary keyword arguments. So arbitrary keyword arguments, they are often shortened to star KWRs in Python documentations. So if you do not know how many keyword arguments that will be passed into your function, just add 2 asterisks before the parameter name and the function definition. And this way the function will receive a dictionary of arguments and can access the items accordingly. So now let's see with the help of an example. So here you're having a function my function and you don't know how many keyword arguments are going to be passed. So you have placed 2 asterisks before the parameter name age. And when you're calling the function, you're passing 2 values, that is young equal to 10 and old equal to 50. So these are going as the dictionary values. So when you're printing the statement, he is age young years old, you're going to get the output as he is 10 years old. Now let's see the scope and lifetime of variables. So scope of a variable is that part of the program where the variable is recognized. So parameters and the variables defined inside a function, they are not visible from outside the function. Hence, they have a local scope. And the lifetime of a variable is the interval of time throughout which the variable exists in the memory. So the lifetime of a variable inside a function is as long as the function executes, and they are destroyed once we return from the function. So hence our function doesn't remember the value of a variable from its previous calls. Now let's see the different types of functions in Python. So basically we can divide the functions into the following 2 types. One is the built-in functions, functions that are built into Python. Functions that readily come with Python are called built-in functions, and if we use the functions that are written by the others in the form of a library, it can be termed as library functions. And the second, we have user-defined functions. So functions defined by the users themselves. That is the functions that we define ourselves to do certain specific tasks that are referred as the user-defined functions. Now let's see the return values in the pass statements. So to let a function return a value, use the return statement. Now let's see with the help of an example. So this is our function my function. It is taking a parameter x and it is returning the value 5 multiplied by x. So when you're calling the function my function and passing various values to it, for example, when you're passing 3, you are getting 15, that is 5 multiplied by 3. When you're passing 5, you're getting 25, and similarly when you're passing 9, you're going to get 45. Now let's see the pass statement. So function definitions, it cannot be empty. In case for some reason the function definition has no content, just put inside the pass statement to avoid getting an error. So here is an example. You use def keyword, the name of the function my function, and if you have no content for that function, simply write a pass statement so that you don't get any error. So this was all about functions in Python. So if you have any query, any doubt, do let me know through the comment section below. And I hope you have enjoyed my video. Please like and subscribe my channel so that you can get more tutorial videos in Python. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.